Welcome to the Plant Grow Reap podcast.
Welcome back to Plant Grow Reap. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Laura.
And this is a very exciting and special episode because it marks our 100th episode across both our Aintree Group podcasts, so across Q&A with SNA and Plant Grow Reap. And so because Laura and I have seen every single episode that have gone out because we're part of the process of filming it and recording it and putting the content out there, we have noticed some recurring themes and like some shared wisdom that's come up over the last 100 episodes. So we thought that we'd take this milestone as an opportunity to reflect on those themes, sort of the key learnings and insights and lessons that have emerged from all of the incredible conversations that we've had so far across all of these podcasts. Because we've chatted to such a wide range of people on Q&A with SNA and Plant Grow Reap. We've had business owners, artists, athletes, creative people, industry leaders, tech gurus, Aintree Group team members, and everyone has had some really exciting and important things that they've shared. And I think it's really beneficial to be able to sort of collate all of that into one episode because not obviously everyone has the time to go back and listen to all 100 episodes, although please feel free. But this is sort of the Spark Notes version of what we have taken away as like the key learnings from that. So yeah, this is 10 things we've learned from 100 episodes and counting. And I suppose leading in from the wide range of people that we've spoken to, one thing that's definitely stood out is that everyone has had like a story to share, experience to share, and that's been a really eye-opening and something I'm really grateful for, to learn more about the people that I work with every day or the clients or the people in our community.
Yeah, I think it's been really good just learning about everyone and deep diving into their lives and getting a surprise when, you know, you assume something about someone and then, you know, their hobby or their past life has been completely different. So some examples of that, we had an episode with our shareholder and accounting manager, Joseph, and he actually in his past life was a professional tennis player.
Which blew my mind. I knew he played football, like quite at a high level. Didn't realize tennis was also on the cards.
No, well, you probably wouldn't know unless you know.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like literally I've worked with Joseph for 8 years.
Yep.
And I was sitting in that episode while they were filming being like, I didn't know any of this about you.
Another one was we had Sam Hopper, who is a leading commercial leasing barrister, and he was actually a cage fighter. So
yeah, that was wild.
He's good at fighting, I guess, the law, but also fighting against other people as well.
Cage matches inside and outside of the courtroom.
Yes.
Which was, that was absolutely phenomenal finding that out.
And then also we recently interviewed Craig Ford, who is a cybersecurity professional, and he's actually a children's book author. So probably wouldn't see that from him, but it's a good topic to have for kids to learn about so early on, especially now that they're on phones and iPads and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think the way he's chosen to bring what can be a very scary topic and make it accessible to families and younger people, that was really cool to see. But looking at him and his resume, you would never look at him and go, yeah, he has written 11 books.
No.
11 or 7, I could be embellishing there, but a lot of books.
Yeah.
And a lot of them in like the fiction space, but definitely with like a cybersecurity hacker kind of storyline.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. Just podcasts give the opportunity for people to just show more of their life than just the surface level. So yeah, it's been really good to see everyone's story.
Yeah, and that opportunity to be able to share those stories more widely as well with the community has been really good. And the insights that people have from all different walks of life and experiences, it's absolutely worth sharing. And I suppose that's why podcasts are so popular because everyone has a story to share and it's just giving them a platform and an opportunity to do that.
Yep.
No, it's been absolutely great. Our second key learning, or something that kept coming up a lot, and a theme that we heard repeatedly, was the importance of empathy, and empathy really being a core part of success and the heart of true success. especially in our episodes with Dr. Jackie King and Lisa Brickcliffe, amongst others, it came up a lot as people see empathy as like a soft skill or like a secondary
Yeah.
attribute that isn't as important. And they were absolutely hitting home that it is at the core of everything for every leader, every business owner, every individual person, team member or otherwise. Having empathy for oneself and for other people is so important to be able to connect with people, lead people, connect with clients when you're trying to benefit their life. You can't do that without empathy, and so empathy should come first. And I know that Dr. Jackie King, it's a huge part of her framework and what she does is empathy based. And she spoke a lot about it as empathy as a strategic leadership skill. So it's something that you should actually build on and work on as a leader. And it's key to the psychological safety and effective communication and building a team that feels like properly supported and like they're working towards an achievable and common goal, and give them the opportunity to work at their best. And then the flip side of that was talking to Lisa, who is a buyer's advocate in real estate. And you hear real estate as an industry, people don't immediately go to empathy.
Yes, no.
And I think her key part of why she started her business is because of the importance of having empathy. You know, she spoke a lot about, and this goes for a lot of advisors, accountants, real estate agents, and we'll talk a little bit on this later in a later learning, but the way that you are best able to help clients in that situation is leading with empathy. In the case of Lisa, when she's like selling someone's home, it's not a house, it's not a property to them. It's they have memories there. They have raised their children there potentially. They've, you know, had really formative memories and moments in that home. And no matter the circumstances of why they're letting it go, whether it's a marriage breakdown, whether they're upsizing and it's exciting or they're retiring and downsizing, there's an emotional element to that. And leading with empathy means that you can truly support them through that process and make sure that you're actually getting the best outcome for the client. So across, all of these conversations, the message was clear that empathy really builds connection, it strengthens relationships, and it creates healthier work environments for everyone involved, the clients, the team, the leaders. And in sort of our current world where a lot of things are sort of dissected down to very divisive hot takes on social media that are intended to be a little bit rage baity and goad people into taking one side or another. Taking a moment to actually truly listen to someone and what they're saying and the feeling behind it and their experiences is really, really important, and it will only serve you well.
And we also just had Ruth Kent from Sunrise Well.
Yeah.
And she was actually talking about listening and how important it is, and a lot of people don't know how to listen properly and have empathy for others. So that also ties in. Yeah.
So definitely empathy has been an overarching theme across so many episodes. So we wanted to really highlight and touch on that there. And while you're sort of diving deep into like leaders and everything involved, another theme that ties in a little bit with empathy is about purpose and really diving into what is your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And that goes for leaders, workers, people just in general, and really honing into that purpose. It has come about in so many conversations that absolutely is more important than what society deems to be successful. We had quite a few guests and conversations of people walking away from the big title, from the big salary, the corporate job, because they thought it's what they wanted. They worked really hard for it. A lot of people burnt out trying to get there.
Yep.
And then they got there and realized that it was just not aligned with what they wanted. It wasn't their purpose. They weren't being fulfilled by it. And no amount of status or money was making up for the fact that it wasn't aligned with their purpose. So a couple that come to mind in particular was, I know one of our really, really early episodes with Gene, he spoke, he had a big Collins Street high-rise skyscraper corporate job, and he stepped away from it to be a personal trainer and run his own business. And he has been so much happier and and healthier doing that, and he's been able to be more present as a business owner. And it's not to say that running a business isn't hard, because it is. But it was just having that alignment with purpose that really brought more fulfillment and energy into his life, and helped him in all sorts of ways. And then another conversation that comes to mind is Linda Slavinskis, who is the founder of All the Doodah Day. She, in a past life, was a corporate lawyer, and now she is a joy-based children's educator. So she spends her days covered in sparkles and rainbows and singing to children and teaching them. And I think that that really speaks to the importance of finding that purpose, because the high-flying job isn't for everyone, and if you're not doing it for the right reasons, then it's not going to last.
It really shows that people can go from one side of the spectrum to the other. You would probably, if you saw Linda today, you would probably never think that she was a lawyer in that sort of scenario. So yeah, it just really shows that finding a purpose is really important, just to be happier and more successful.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done. I mean, obviously it's a lot of inner work, and a lot of the people we've spoken to on the podcast have highlighted that, you know, they had to go through a process of pursuing the big goal, finding out it wasn't for them. You know, people have to work through that process, learn from their mistakes, find out what it means to them. But some of the advice that a range of different people on the podcast had given about tapping into purpose was to notice what energizes you. So what feels fulfilling rather than damaging? What elements of your life, not just your work, but your life outside of work, what fulfills you? Really tap into the kind of things that come from that. Reflect on your why, beyond money, beyond status, but beyond, I think a key thing also is what other people expect of you.
Yeah.
So if, you know, you've had that pressure put on you that I know for me personally at school, there was a certain amount of pressure of, you got this particular score, so of course you would go and do this, this, and this. Well, actually, no, because I have no interest in being a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. And I think that a lot of people fall into that trap of people say, you're so good at this, or you're so intelligent, or so you must do X, Y, Z. And really breaking through and being like, well, why? Why do I have to do that? Following curiosity, this is going to come up a lot in this episode, but it often points to your deeper values. What makes you curious? What makes you want to learn more? Listening to discomfort. This one's a hard one to do just in general. But when you're misaligned, it's a signal that something's not right, and you'll feel that discomfort. And often it's really easy to ignore it, but really sort of ruminating with that and working out where that's coming from can help point you towards your purpose. Back to the people's expectations. What would you do if no one else had a say? So if we took away everyone else's opinion, what would you actually want to do just for you? Experimenting and exploring, we sort of talked about that people need to go through the process. You need to do things to find out what does and doesn't work to you. And then although other people's expectations can be a detriment, being really intentional about who you talk to about exploring your purpose can help. I would definitely say don't talk to anyone and everyone, because too many opinions only clouds the matter.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. But talk to people who know you well and know you well in terms of your values and what matters to you. They might see some strengths or some opportunities in you that you haven't seen yourself. I know in a few conversations in the podcast over the last 100 episodes, there's been a few times that people have said, it was my sister or my best friend or my partner who said, why aren't you doing this? Like, this is what sparks joy. Like, they can see it in you, what sparks joy. And that can be the prompt to explore that a little bit more and follow on. But yeah, definitely as much as it's easier said than done, personal purpose over societal success for sure is a key takeaway.
And I think this relates to our next point or another one, but it's not always an easy route to take, and some people don't realize it until later on in life. So that relates to the next one, which it's okay to take the long way around. Yeah.
And it is really, really common, especially now, for people to have multiple career changes in their life. I feel like previous generations, there may have been a bit of an expectation that you pick a career, you work in that career most, if not all of your working life, then you retire. And that's just not how it works. And I hope that it's freeing for people, that they feel like they don't have to stay in that little box. And like you said, some people don't discover their true purpose until they're 50, 60, 70, whatever it may be. And I think, there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking the long way around. It's probably the better way to go, because everything you learn along the way is really valuable and important. You don't know that something doesn't fill your cup until you try it and realize that it's not for you. I think maybe, again, with the expectations from other people, I feel like people feel that they're boxed in, or they can't expand or try something new or pivot or change career, and that's absolutely not true. I know in one particular episode with Jill Riley, she said, you got to give yourself permission to succeed.
Yeah.
And if you're the one holding yourself back, being like, no, I committed to this career. This is what I said I'd do. So I've just got to stick it out and do it, when there's something else calling you. You're putting that restriction on yourself. Give yourself permission to explore and succeed.
And sometimes it's hard to make that change, especially if you have a family or you're having kids or something like that, and you need a stable income. So sometimes it's hard to just go off on your own business or change career at that stage. So sometimes it is better to take the long way and figure it out later on in life.
Exactly. And when you have the time and the opportunity, obviously it is a privilege to be able to switch careers or go back to uni. It's certainly something that not everyone can afford, but potentially also, like you said, it can be something that you can explore later in life, or you can be training for something while working in your current job, so that you can find or explore that option while still maintaining that stability for your family, if that's something that you need. And we definitely had more than a few examples in previous episodes about people who have had multiple career changes, and people who've decided in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s that what they were doing isn't for them, and they've gone the long way around and they've found it eventually. And I think that finding that no matter what stage of life you get there, it's that fulfillment when you finally do, which is really rewarding.
Our next lesson is about retirement. I know we've heard a lot about it in Q&A with SNA, especially with Shane, as it doesn't mean what it used to be. So Shane often says that he would work until he can't possibly work anymore, just because retirement isn't sort of what he would follow. And we've seen it a lot in Q&A with SNA. Fewer people are wanting to stop working completely. They don't want to just, play golf every day or not have a purpose in life after that. So they want to continue working, in that retirement phase.
And I know that just as an advisor, Shane has come across clients that have retired and then gone back to work 6 months later because they were like, this is not for me. And it's sort of that really interesting thing of, especially for business owners, like your business is your whole life. It's like another child, as Andrea and Shane say.
Yep.
So the thought of suddenly you just let go of everything all of a sudden, and then there's what now? Like it's a bit of a like an identity shift.
Yep.
And people potentially underestimate how big of a life change full retirement can be, and sort of dive in with that excitement of, oh yeah, I get to play golf all the time or go traveling all the time. And then when the novelty wears off, they're sort of feeling a little bit like, oh, I'm a bit rudderless. I don't know what
do I do with myself?
Yeah, exactly. And there were a few interviews, like you said in Q&A with SNA, of other business owners and other people really identifying that like now in their working lives that it's the traditional idea of retirement is not for them. It would look a little bit differently. It might just be that they work once a week or twice a week or do volunteering, or they're engaging in the workforce in some other way to keep them engaged and keep them fulfilled.
Our sixth lesson is that hustle culture isn't sustainable and the warning signs matter.
Yep.
So rest and recovery aren't luxuries. They're essential. So in our episode with Mel Kettle, she shared the analogy of the feather, the brick and the truck. So first comes the gentle warning, then the louder one, and if you ignore both, the truck arrives.
Yeah, you don't want to get to the truck.
No.
I feel like burnout has become much more talked about on social media, colloquially. I can't say that word, so we're not going to try. Just in the ether of the world, people are more aware of burnout. I think what was really interesting about the episode with Mel was how specific she was with identifying what the warning signs look like, because it's all very well for everyone to be like, oh, avoid burnout, don't get burnt out, don't work too much. What does that actually look like?
Yeah.
And it was the things like, the feathers were finding that you're tired all the time, getting sick more easily, maybe drinking more alcohol throughout the week, really irritable, mood shifts, things like that. And then the brick, it starts to get that you're like having to miss work or feeling like you don't want to go to work, you're having mental health issues. And then when the truck finally arrives, it's like real burnout. I think this is also something maybe because it's talked about a lot on social media. Real burnout is a long process to get back from.
Yep. And I know our P&C advisor, Jasmine, in one of our masterclasses, she actually mentioned that Australians have the highest level of burnout in the world. So I think it's really important that people understand this topic and workplaces prioritize, their employees' well-being so that they don't burn out and we don't keep getting those high levels of, those feelings.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because 2026, all the new psychosocial hazard laws are coming into play, and it will be good to see workplaces providing that education because I think, like we said, not enough people know the early warning signs, and the early warning signs is when you actually want to take action and, renegotiate things like, okay, well, if you're not able to work within the hours or the scope of what your job description is, do you need extra people helping you out in your role? Can you pare back hours? Can you actually take leave? The amount of people that have an inordinate amount of personal leave because they've just worked through being sick every single time. Things like that can make a huge difference in bringing down the risk of burning out. So a big recurring one, just because of the world that we exist in at Aintree Group, is about family businesses. So for those who don't know, Aintree Group is a family business. It's a husband and wife team. Their children also work within the business on a part-time basis. So naturally, within our business network, there's a lot of family businesses in different capacities, like husband and wife. We've got some siblings working together, parents and children working together. So it's really cool to see how that dynamic works, both from within a family business and also advising family businesses. And the key takeaway from that is it can be extremely rewarding, but there have to be really strong, clear boundaries, clear roles and responsibilities, clear expectations, and the way it was summarized in an episode with, I think, Peter and Paul and Shane and Andrea was, you've got to run it like a business. Like, don't think because it's your family that you can cut corners and be like, oh, well, we'll just work that out. Or, X, Y, like Joe will do what I say because I'm his dad and therefore that's just the way it goes. It's got to be above board because without structure, that's where the conflict can really creep in. Resentment can creep in. People start making assumptions and feeling like they can't speak up and do their job. So at the end of the day, that ends up straining not just the business, and your business will not be as successful. It will also put obviously strain on the family and the wider family dynamic, even beyond the people actually working in the business.
And this is also where succession planning comes in. It's very important to have a plan in place, especially if you're going to promote different family members, and there might be one child who thinks they're going to be the leader once you sort of go out of the business, but you might want someone else to. So it's important to have that structure and plan in place as soon as you have the business, just so there's no conflict.
And clear communication around all of that. Like there shouldn't be surprise, well, in any business, but like it should be clearly laid out regardless, but particularly when there's family involved, you need to also be able to separate the relationships between like this is your working relationship dynamic and this is your family relationship dynamic, and they may need to be different and clearly defined. And it's all about just really maintaining that healthy divide between family life and business life, and making sure that business life runs like a business so that your family can feel like a family. And it just protects the relationships, and every single person that we spoke to that was part of a family business just absolutely echoed that. And there will be, little things that niggle here and there, and but it's about being able to separate that. And the more formal that the business processes are, the easier it is to separate that.
Yep. Yeah, so our 8th lesson is that culture, connection and values matter more than ever. And I think we can really say that at Aintree Group because our values are at the heart of everything we do. We're courageous custodians of our community, and we're always looking out for our clients and community, and just being custodians in everything we do and having a purpose in that.
Yeah. It's certainly come up a lot, particularly in Plant Grow Reap episodes, I think, because we've had a lot of HR and P&C professionals come in. We kind of touched on psychosocial hazards before, but it also came into conversations about like recruitment and making sure that when you're recruiting people, finding talent that aligns with the values of the business is much more important than some people realize. And you can teach skills and you can upskill people. You can't teach someone how to fit into a culture that they do not fit into or don't want to fit into. So that was a huge takeaway, particularly in that recruitment space of making sure that that values alignment is there from before they even start. And that extends not just to hiring employees or team members. It's also things like choosing your clients.
Yeah.
Are the clients aligned with the values? The suppliers that you work with, are they aligned with your values? You may not have team members, but if you've got like a business partnership, making sure that you guys are aligned is really important, and long-term will be hugely beneficial if you're on the same page. And just like the broader network that you exist in, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, not in a way that you end up in an echo chamber, which, can be a bit dangerous, but that you feel that you are supported in your values and implementing your values. People have that understanding of what's important to you and why. I think that leads to ultimately more success, more fulfillment, and everything just sort of runs a bit smoother when you may be working towards different goals, but underneath it all, the values are aligned.
We can also go the other side of that and having a culture and values that employees will want to work for.
Yeah.
So retaining employees is so important these days, and the best way to do that is to have a good culture and good values that actually aligns with what the employees want and the market wants.
Yeah, and you become an employer of choice. And I know that there's a lot of chatter about like a skills shortage or like a talent shortage in the workplace. And if that's of concern to business owners or employers, having that really strong culture, really strong set of values will absolutely help in attracting and retaining quality talent to your business. The next one, which I sort of alluded to earlier when we were talking about advisors and purpose, a big misconception that we come across sort of in our day-to-day life as advisors is that sometimes clients are a bit hesitant that your motivations are not to get the best outcome for the client. So there's a bit of a misconception, particularly when we go into things like brokers, like finance brokers, financial planners, that they're not actually there to like help me. They don't care about me. Like they're just trying to sell me something. And our takeaway, not just from the business, but also all of the conversations we've had as part of the podcasts, have been that the people in these roles, in these advisor roles, are there because they are incredibly passionate about helping others in their area of expertise. So don't assume that if someone is reaching out to you saying, I can help you with this, that they're doing it for their own personal gain and to sell you something you don't need. It also, on the flip side, business owners can get a little bit stuck in the day-to-day of the business and feel that they have to be across everything and do everything and be everything to everyone. And that is a huge amount of pressure to put on yourself. You can't be an expert in everything. No one is. And that's where getting that help from someone who is well-versed in whatever area it is you need help with is going to ultimately benefit you, because it's going to take a huge amount of mental load and work off your plate. It's going to be done to a higher standard because it's going to be done by an expert. You're going to have that support from someone who has gone through that process, whatever it may be, buying a house, getting a home loan, financial planning, creating a succession plan, whatever the outcome is. They've done it 1,000 times before with a variety of different clients. So they've seen all the different ways that it can show up and what can happen, whereas you're only doing it for the first time. And they can provide that support and guide you through the process so that you don't feel as overwhelmed or lost or like you're trying to do everything yourself and being an expert in everything. So I think just reframing how you engage with advisors or how you see what they do is really important. And just understand that these people are really passionate about educating and empowering people and sharing the knowledge that they've got. It really makes a big difference in the relationship between advisors and clients, I think.
And an episode that highlighted this lesson was with Miles Beamish from Finlease and their finance brokers. And I know the main theme of his episode was that clients are at the heart of what they do, and they'll, it's always what the client needs, and that'll be that'll be their priority when they're thinking of which loan to give or what to do in that situation.
Yeah. And similarly with Lisa, we touched on Lisa before, who works in real estate. She gave examples of when she has said no to particular house offers and things like that because it may have been financially on paper the quote best option, but she knew what mattered to the client and it didn't align with that. So she didn't go forward with it. So keeping in mind, I think, and it's a little bit self-serving to say it, but advisors are here to help. So use them, absolutely use them to the full capacity because it's why they're there. All right, final lesson, and one that definitely aligns with the culture that we have at Aintree Group, but just we're always learning and growing. Across all of the episodes, it was very clear the most successful people are never still or stagnant, and also never assume that they know everything. They are always seeking out new knowledge. Curiosity matters, humility matters, and surrounding yourself with people who know more than you is only going to bring you up. And it's not a competition. It's about sharing the wealth of knowledge. And growth, just that understanding that growth isn't a destination. It's lifelong. Learning is lifelong. Part of what the podcast has brought to us as a team and the community and listeners is it is a tool to learn from other people, and podcasts in general are a great way to sort of passively isn't the right word, but learn sort of on the go. Like you can put a podcast on in the car and learn about something that you've never heard of before, but it's such a beneficial tool because you're getting almost like that one-on-one experience and insights from an expert in the field that you wouldn't necessarily have access to otherwise. I think always learning and growing and the importance of that and curiosity is really at the heart of it's why the podcast exists. It's why education is really important to us at Aintree Group. As a team, we're always told, be curious, investigate, find other ways, learn more. And we really want to instill that in the listeners as well. And it was a really clear message from all of the successful people that we spoke to on the podcast. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it also ties into our first lesson that everyone has a story to share, and we just learned so much from them, and you might be surprised every time you go out to learn something and you'll grow from that experience. Yeah, and just every part of life, I know Andrew has said in a podcast episode before that if someone reaches out and says, do you want to just go grab a coffee?
or like grab lunch or something, and it could be someone that you've just met at an event. She said that it can be really tempting to be like, oh, I don't have time for that, or, you know, how does this relate to what I'm doing day to day? And she said, always go for the coffee, because you'll sit down and you'll find out something that you didn't know, either about the person or an industry or whatever the case may be. It is always beneficial to have that connection, have that conversation, and learn from each other. Yeah. To our listeners, thank you for listening, supporting, growing and learning with us for the last 100 episodes. We're really excited to have reached this milestone. It's obviously a huge deal for us as the marketing team, part of executing it, but just to the business in general. Andrea and Shane have been really keen to have podcasts as part of our community education and empowerment system for quite a while. And so realizing that for them has been fantastic. And the feedback we've had from listeners and community has been great as well. So, thank you for tuning in to the last 100 episodes. And here's to the next 100.
Thank you.
Thank you.